Well, hi everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023, another awesome year. And I wish you a lot of health, happiness, and success for the new year. Want to take a few minutes and share with you some of the latest market trends here in the Austin market. Plus, I'm going to share with you 5 predictions that I think could happen in 2023. Stick around. That's going to come at the end of the video. So starting with the market trends here, obviously number of home sales has come down a lot. A lot of that's what we've been talking about over the past several months. We have definitely seen a decline in buyer activity and therefore less sales on the market. The orange line is showing you we're trending significantly below where we have the past 4 years. I'll show that data in more detail here in a second. Sales volume is the dollar amount also coming down. Here's median sales price. This is a little interesting. So as we've started to see inventory start to decline again, and we've seen the interest rate come back down a little bit from its peak, we've started to find a little bit of a slower taper on the median sales price. You can see it starting to flatten out the last 3 months. As we went into the fall, we'll have to see where December ends, but we're basically back to where we were late 2021 on price, late fall 2021. It hasn't been a complete drop off. And so that could be a sign that we're starting to find a bit of a bottom, but we really won't know until we get into the spring next year. But anyways, we basically are within like $600 of the same median sales price that we were at in November of 2021. We're at that same price November 2022. So still waiting on December data, but that's a sign that maybe we had our big fall off the peak, but that's starting to slow down as we get closer to the bottom on price. Average sales price, we're seeing the same thing in terms of where we ended up with last year. And then finally on this chart, total listings. Again, you can start to see we finally rounded off. It took later than normal, but we have finally started to see the inventory come back down. I predicted last month we'll end the year around 8,500 homes. I think we'll be in that category. We're basically there as of tomorrow. So I think we're going to be about 8,500 homes, active listings, single family on the market when we turn the corner into the new year. But we're starting to see the inventory come down. It is higher than where we've been the last 5 years, but I think in terms of peaking out, we've seen that at least for 2022. And again, months of inventory has started to stall off as sellers start coming out of the market and selling their homes. Builders are starting to work through some of their inventory. And of course, what's holding it up is buyer demand remains very soft. So that's a look at some of the latest trends through November. Here's a look at December. So this is as of today, right now. You can see the green is listings, active listings on the market. Again, we peaked out in September. This is single family homes, around a little over 11,000 single family homes on the market. Just to put that into context, in February, we had 2,500. So we more than quadrupled the number of homes for sale over the span of about 7 months. So it was a huge rise in inventory because of the interest rates. Buyer demand came way down, but we have seen the listings steadily decline. We're back down to about 8,700 listings on the market at this exact moment. But in terms of closed sales, in October, we only sold 2,300 homes. In November, we only sold almost exactly 2,000 homes. And now in December, we've only got anything that closes today might raise that number, but we're going to have less than 2,000 sales in December. So we definitely have seen the buyer demand drop off this year. I'm curious, and I'll share in my forecast what I think will happen next year with those buyers. One last thing to look at, this is the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Again, we peaked out on the mortgage in October and early November around the 7% mark for a primary home buyer. We've now steadily been in the 6s for about 2 months. And the forecast will show you that likely they're predicting we might start to be finding kind of a longer term range of interest rates. So here are 5 predictions for 2023. So number 1, I think you're already seeing in the data, there's potential for a flattening of the median home price. In other words, we may not see another 10, 20, 30% crash in price. What may happen is we go back to pre-pandemic, where really some years you would just have a flat year. It might go up a little bit in the spring, or it might hold steady in the spring and then drop next fall. But either way, it may not be a sharp decline like we saw from May to December this year. Maybe that big shift has already happened in the Austin market, and we could start to see a flattening of the median home price. Number two, this is coming from the mortgage lenders that I've spoken with, but most economists, most mortgage lenders are predicting now, based on activity in the bond market and what they're seeing, interest rates are going to start to hold steady, most likely in the 6 to 7% range for most of the year. Maybe late next year, they'll start, or late 2023, they'll start to maybe finally come down with a 5 on it. But I don't expect we're going to see that soon. I expect mortgage rates are going to hold up, and that's also going to start to flatten out the market, both buyer demand and sellers. I think you're going to see sellers being disappointed, but not distressed. Distressed sellers are the ones who give their properties away. They're underwater. They're going to get foreclosed on because of the financial situation. Honestly, almost every seller I talk to has lots of equity. They have 2, 3, 4% mortgage rates on their home. They want a good number. And if you're planning to sell in 2023, of course, we want a great number, right? But you're not distressed. You just may be disappointed depending on what happens with the sale. And so I think for investors and buyers that are assuming everything's going to crash and there's going to be all these foreclosures, I'm not seeing data that shows that's going to happen. More likely, it's just going to be back to a normal market where you have supply and demand competition. Inventory is actually going to remain constrained. We had fewer listings in 2022 than we did in 2021. Fewer people were selling their homes. So why was there so much inventory? It's simply because there was just that much less buyer demand, which allowed the inventory to build up. It's not that we're listing more homes. I think we're going to list fewer homes next year than we listed in 2022. So 2023, I predict we're going to have even fewer listings, which is going to constrain that supply. The only thing that's going to allow 3, 4, 5 months of inventory is if buyer demand remains incredibly low. So we'll have to see what happens with buyer demand. But I don't see us going to 8, 10, 12 months of inventory because there simply aren't going to be enough sellers trying to sell their properties. And then finally, if people feel like they can't afford homes, the mortgages are too expensive, the taxes are expensive, well, they're going to become renters. And so rental demand is going to pick up, and I think rents will hold steady. They may not go up a lot, but they may not go down a lot. They could also rise if we start to see some constraint in the rent market. I'm seeing a number of sellers pull their homes off the market and put them on the rent market. So that's increasing rental supply, which is probably matching the growing demand in the rental market. I predict rents will probably hold steady. Anyways, hey, I could be wrong on all 5 of these. That's what's fun about this. But hopefully this gives you an idea based on the trends of what I'm seeing, where I think 2023 is going to go. I don't think it's going to be an exciting market for buyers or sellers in terms of way up or way down. I think we're going to see back to a much steadier, maybe even flat year for both buyers and sellers next year. It's kind of a catch our breath year in many ways. I think that's a good thing for the market. I think it's healthy for Austin. I think it lets everything get back to kind of conditions they should be without having artificial low interest rates or artificial demand in the market. It's getting back to true supply and demand. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. I can't wait to work with you and talk with you about your plans in 2023. Until then, hope you had a happy new year, and we'll be catching up with you soon. Thanks.